The new book is called Reasons to Vote for Democrats. But the book is actually a joke. It has nothing written in it. And guess what? The joke on Democrats, it's actually selling big time on Amazon. It's hitting #1 on Amazon's bestseller list. The author, Michael Knowles, he joins me now. So, Michael, thanks for coming on. How did you come up with this idea?
Well, you know, I've been researching this topic for years and years and years, probably as long as I've been paying attention to politics. And I thought it was high time, now that this country is so divided, that we put together a fully exhaustive and comprehensive book outlining all of the reasons to vote for Democrats. And that's what we did here in this compilation.
So can you tell us some chapter headlines?
Absolutely. So this book covers just about everything. We cover crime, the economy, values and principles, homeland security, so on and so forth. And when I was considering each of those topics and the reasons that one might vote for Democrats with regard to those topics, it occurred to me it's probably best just to leave all of the pages blank.
Are you intending to do a reading on Capitol Hill of those blank pages?
I think it's high time that we take this serious scholarship to our nation's capital, and of course pretty soon I'll be coming out with the follow-up books, which are a Caro-esque history of Hillary Clinton's presidency.
Oh, so this is a series. You know, right now you're beating you're beating Tony Robbins and Hillary Clinton's books on Amazon. And it looks like they took way more time writing their books, and you're beating them with blank pages about Democrat policies. Go figure.
Well, I think it's hard to beat Hillary Clinton, but I'm honored to be doing it nevertheless.
You know, Michael, did you get any backlash about your book when they realized your book was empty with blank pages?
I didn't, you know, listen, I am trying to provide very important scholarship to the people, and sometimes in a popular market, highly academic and scholarly books like my own receive a little backlash, but luckily we're still looking at about 4.7 or 4.8 stars out of 5 on Amazon, and clearly, if the sales numbers are any indication, the people are enjoying the product they're getting.
You know,
how do I top that? What a magnificent introduction that was. It's very nice to be with you all tonight. Thank you so much for coming out. It is really nice to be here at Trump University, to be here at the Wharton School of Business, the University of Pennsylvania, President Covfeffe's alma mater, which we shall call Trump University for short. It's very nice to be here in Huntsman Hall. Some people, I worked for John Huntsman Jr. for a time in 2012, and you know, John Huntsman is President Trump's ambassador to Russia, which means that I was colluding with the Russians before it was cool. I was very pleased about that. And if Mr. Mueller is watching tonight, because I know I probably have implicated myself in something, I am both sorry and relieved to say I have had no personal experiences with porn stars. Please leave me alone. Please do not raid my offices or anything like that. So tonight, in Russian Ambassador Huntsman Hall, at the Trump University, we will discuss a very important topic, reasons to vote for Donald Trump. This sounds like the title of my blank book. I wrote a book that became a #1 national bestseller called Reasons to Vote for Democrats, a Comprehensive Guide. It is, at the risk of being boastful, it is the greatest and most important and urgent political treatise of our generation. And but the difference in my talk this evening and in Reasons to Vote for Democrats is there will be words in this talk. There will be some of the best words, folks. Huge, huge words, and I hope they're convincing.
Here now to react, host of the Michael Knowles Show, Michael Knowles. Thanks for joining us this morning, Michael. You heard in that clip there the crowd just go crazy when Hillary Clinton came up on the screen reading that excerpt of the book Fire and Fury. What's your reaction to that and the whole night?
Well, nothing says entertainment quite like Hillary Clinton, right? Isn't that just what the American people want? I don't know when the Hollywood elite and when the music elite will get the point that we do not want to hear their political opinions. The ratings in the key 18 to 49 demographic on the Grammys have been at several-year lows. Oscars were at 9-year lows last time around. The Golden Globes had low ratings. People are tuning this out. There was one high point last night when Patti LuPone sang, and it was maybe the saddest reminder of what glamour and class used to look like at these awards shows that have now turned into hysterical, unentertaining political rants that the American people very rightly are just tuning out.
It's fascinating, though, because, I mean, when you look at the average, Hollywood musician or Hollywood actor, these are not really the most, I don't want to say the most intelligent people, but they're not the most academic people, by and large. And yet they have these really strong opinions, and we give them this huge platform to make these big statements. Most of these people really don't know what's going on in the country, by and large. They live in a bit of a bubble out there where it's sunny every day, and they don't have to work very much, and they get to make millions of dollars for doing, well, they do some good things, but it's not that hard of a job, I would say. So it's funny to see how opinionated they can be, knowing all that.
And the big takeaway from last night is now everybody is upset that only one woman won a Grammy. And rather than going on stage and having some class and some gratitude and grace and saying, oh yes, it's very nice that I get to make millions of dollars and win gold statues for playing around and pretending all day, you just see millionaires instead who are complaining that they're not making enough millions of dollars and winning enough gold statues. It's a farce that the regular old American people who work real jobs in the real world just don't want to pay any attention to if we're not at least going to be entertained by it. Jessica's approach certainly sounds rational, as do the Democrats when they talk about it, but when it actually comes to enforcing immigration law, they fail. They refuse to do it because we know that they rely on these votes. Right now in the United States, Donald Trump has identified a simple issue, which is that illegal immigration is illegal. We know that this is a winner with the American people. We know that the majority of Americans, including the majority of Democrats, do not think that giving amnesty to illegal aliens should be a priority for Congress. And yet Democrats rely on these votes as an electoral strategy. We know the Center for American Progress admitted this. We know that between 8.75% of illegal aliens and Hispanic immigrants identify with Democrats over Republicans. So you're going to see Democrats continue to push this strategy. They push for wholesale importation of foreigners. They push for enfranchising felons. They push for lowering the voting age. The Democrat base has become felons, foreigners, and children. That's a winner for Democrats if they can get it through. But the American people, I think, can see through it.
Jessica, is it political?
Michael, it's Sunday morning. There's so many offensive things to be saying so early. I don't understand how illegals, calling the Democratic base felons. It's so.
Well, I think he's referring what he's referring to is criminal justice reform. He's putting it differently.
Which is a good thing that Republicans and Democrats.
Well, not all Republicans support that.
Oh, a lot of them do, actually, and you have actually been leading the way there if you look at what Tim Scott and Newt Gingrich are doing. But when you say the Center for American Progress has admitted that our strategy is to have illegal aliens vote, what are you talking about? There's no massive voter fraud scheme in here. I'm talking about the leaked
memorandum that said.
That said what?
I'm talking about a leaked memorandum that said that it is key to the electoral strategy of Democrats to provide amnesty, particularly for young illegal aliens.
It was an admission.
So they can
because
vote?
We know that they identify with Democrats.
Are you saying that illegal aliens are voting in this country?
No, but they will vote, and if they do vote, if they are given amnesty and are given a path to vote, they'll vote for Democrats.
Amnesty and citizenship
are very different.
But most Democrats, Jessica, most Democrats would seek citizenship as an eventual result of amnesty if they could, correct?
I'm sure down the line, but when you look at the programs that are in place, when you're talking about amnesty for asylum seekers that are coming here from Central and South America, I think you guys are completely off base, and you're just trying to scare people about this.
This is an honest question.
Yeah.
This is an honest question. If you're an asylum seeker and you're from a country where you don't want to live and you want to come to America, shouldn't we ask you to go through the proper channels and do it, submit that way and not scale a fence or do so under nefarious ways?
I think so. It's an incredibly complicated issue when you consider the fact you should be applying for amnesty in your home country. I've heard 75% or upwards of 75% are denied that. So then because they can't live at home anymore, they then carry on and they end up scaling that wall. I don't think that this is the right way, but I also don't think that there's necessarily a good solution to this, since we are a country that wants to help others who have bad circumstances where they're coming from.
Michael?
Jessica, this isn't a complicated issue. Illegal immigration is illegal. We have right now record high percentages of the foreign-born population to the U.S. population as a whole. It hasn't been this high since 1890. Every single day we arrest 1,000 people, illegal aliens crossing onto our border, and then we release them into the general population. We know that 60 to 80% of women and girls who cross the border illegally are raped and sexually assaulted. If the suggestion here is that all of these illegal aliens are asylum seekers, that's the new euphemism that we're using for people flouting our immigration laws and crossing illegally.
Not, but
what percentage would you advocate?
Ahead of the award show, producers said that Jimmy Kimmel was going to avoid pointed political commentary. Do you think he succeeded on that front?
No, I think he just avoided jokes and entertainment. Jimmy Kimmel, I think, made history last night. It was the first joke-free opening monologue to any Oscars telecast. Though perhaps we should be happy that he didn't cry during the broadcast. He may cry when the ratings come out. Last year was a 9-year low in ratings for the Oscars. I suspect this year will beat it. Jimmy Kimmel, it was amazing. In his opening monologue, he actually told us that Hollywood celebrities, him included, consider their primary purpose to push left-wing activism, not to entertain, to push activism. He said these speeches are a great platform. We have to change the world. And that is how they were used throughout the entire night. We might call this the intersectional Oscars. Some person, as we played, named Common, went out and he sang about how the NRA is not God's way. All while, ironically, he was joined on stage by Cecile Richards, the president of Planned Parenthood, who has killed 3.8 million babies in her time at that job. It was all activism all night long. The jokes that you heard, the couple of barbs from Jimmy Kimmel, they were the most tedious, low-hanging fruit you could hear. The Republican president is a racist. We've never heard that one before. Or the best, I think, was how Vice President Mike Pence is uncomfortable with pederasty. We make movies such as Call Me By Your Name to make Mike Pence uncomfortable. Aren't we all supposed to be uncomfortable by that? What happened to the Me Too movement? And the most ironic moment of all is that the Academy, in the year of Me Too, in the year of Harvey Weinstein, awarded a statue to Kobe Bryant, perhaps the most prominent accused rapist in the United States. Huh. That is the future of their party. I think she's a good representative. The Democrats at this point are proudly ignorant and thoroughly anti-Israel, so it makes sense. This poor girl, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, is not making a great first impression, and that is the lasting one. What do we know about her since her campaign hit the national stage? She is a liar. She lied about her upbringing. She pretended to be from a poor part of the Bronx and grow up there. In reality, she grew up in a ritzy part of one of the ritziest counties in the country. I know this because I grew up in the town over from her. So we know that, and now we know that she is proudly ignorant. She has this great line. She says, I don't really know a lot about this, but I firmly believe, frequently wrong but never in doubt. She uses the slogans that we've seen from Democrats now for the past 20 years. We heard in the Bush era, Bush lied, people died. He didn't. We heard no war for oil. There wasn't one. Now we hear Trump colluded with Russia. There's no evidence of that. And the myth of Israeli-occupied Palestine, which I believe is the country east of Narnia and west of Wakanda, is another example of that. Margaret Hoover in that television program scratched just below the surface, and Ocasio-Cortez had no answer. She didn't know anything. All she had learned was ideology. I think apparently Yorktown High School is not as good as we all thought it was.
So by the way, Michael,
learned these.
To your point, she went to Boston University. She says she doesn't know geopolitics in that interview. She majored in international relations. So obviously this is something that she claims to know a lot about. Kudos to Margaret Hoover in that interview for simply listening and following up with, can you please expand on this? What I'm surprised by is she's done so many interviews since this big win a few weeks ago, and yet none of this has been exposed. What does this tell you about bigger picture the Democratic Party?
Well, first of all, it tells you that the media are carrying water for them. Margaret Hoover has a very sort of stable, sober public affairs show. She's not exactly out to get her guests, but the guests expose themselves. If Ocasio-Cortez were smart, she would have locked herself in a closet until November. The election is hers, and all she's doing is hurting herself. And more broadly, what this tells us is there's a real problem with millennial education. I'm the same age as Ocasio-Cortez. I went to a school nearby in high school, and one aspect of that is in high schools, especially in New York in those days, the curricula told you, don't worry about studying facts. Don't learn names and dates and details. Just learn broader picture trends. And I think that's the ideological component that allows a committed socialist like Miss Ocasio-Cortez to spew ignorance without knowing the basis of the things she's talking about.
Yeah, well, this
Politics is downstream of culture, as Andrew Breitbart was fond of saying, but we're winning the cultural war. I think some conservatives are missing it because they expected us all to start listening to Brahms and Haydn and drinking sherry and tweed suits. That isn't what winning the culture looks like. What winning the culture looks like is Chance the Rapper tweeting out and saying, black people don't need to vote for Democrats, and Kanye West saying, I like this president, I like this conservative Republican president.
Allie?
Politics is downstream of culture, but we're winning.